little bit more straight. They have the long oval hip. If I were to keep going down, they're just long and oval, where your dramatics have a triangle. It almost could look like a trapezoid if you keep going. That is a dramatic quality. Dramatics, I almost think that this triangular trapezoid triangle, because the soft naturals round out down here, the trapezoid triangle shape that I see in dramatics, there's too many lines here, guys, I'm sorry, are, I almost see it exclusively in dramatics. Like, it's this shape that I mean, like that. It's not rounded, it's two triangles on top of each other, like this, making like a trapezoid. And that's dramatic classics, and flamboyant gamines are who I see that in. I don't see it. If you, soft dramatics are always rounded on top of this, like we showed you. So like that's where I see that shape a lot. So if you have that shape, dramatic type is probably where you're ending up one of those three. Or if you're petite, then you gotta roll out petite. Over here, again, she has a long oval hip, and that's more typical. They can also have one straight tapered triangle too. It would be more like this. They can have both. That I've seen. There's I'm sure other shapes out there, but those are we'll say the most common, like soft naturals are stacked triangles, and this Kibi himself, and then romantics are stacked circles. That's how that works. And again, this right here, that's not her bust, that's her width. If you have this area under here that kind of protrudes out and it's like hard, like a bone, that's your bone. It's your rib cage, right? If your rib cage is out, that gives you width. You have width there. Now, if you were underweight, that could be sticking out on every base. You have to be at an average weight. Kibi's based on an average weight. So to imagine yourself at an average weight for this, if you were underweight, because it could protrude out. I know that I could get flesh, and it sometimes can make my shoulders look wider. So you have to know your body and know, okay, no, that's not there, that's flesh. Like, you have to be able to tease that out. No one else can do that for you on either end of the spectrum. You kind of have to communicate that. We can obviously, like, see the types in people, but those are questions that are sometimes asked when I'm typing. Like, do you notice this when you're at, your 20s, when you show me this photo in your 20s? Or do you have a photo of you at 28? You know what I mean? And then you were 40 pounds thinner or 40 pounds heavier. Like, what happened? Like, talk about what your accommodations were then, what was going on. That helps sometimes. So keep that in mind when you're asking yourself these questions. I hope this clarified with angularity, the shapes that I see, where I'm defining it, how vertical really affects if you have width, and how, you can have the illusion of petite, of width when you're petite, which you don't necessarily have to accommodate. You really have to accommodate your petite in everyday clothing all the time, right? Jenna Coleman has to, let's go back and look. She's got to always think about her short, narrow stature before she has to think of width. So she's like, how do I do that? Well, I have to think of short and petite first. Then I can look for width within my clothes. Jennifer, who has some petite in her arms and maybe even a short waist, right? Like, you don't know, like, people who are soft naturals could. That's just the thing. In their world, they have to always think about their width first. That's their first thing that's going to affect what they wear. And then if they have petite limbs, they have to say, oh, I need a shorter sleeve, like a 3/4 length. I need a crop top. because I have a shorter midriff, and that becomes a regular size top on me. I hope that makes sense. Like, it's what you do first and foremost that cancels out everything else. And then you have to think of them afterwards. Like, kind of like, all right, first I got to do this. Next, we have to accommodate this. And we're all doing this in our lives. We're all thinking of how we can get around those things. And when you write down and think about what you're trying to get around, that's what Kibi's trying to tell you to embrace. All right, I'm trying to find things that fit these shoulders. No, I get to drape beautiful fabrics over these shoulders. It's a difference in how you perceive your body in a more positive fashion. And then, of course, Kibi's idea is this internal, you kind of find yourself and become this essence of this type. He does believe you are, like, Jennifer Lopez is soft, natural. She's going to be the girl next door. She probably plays, like, a sport like lacrosse or tennis. Like, there's an assigned idea of what that looks like for him, where some of the other types, are not as they box you in a different way. So I don't believe that so much. I believe you are your own essence, and you could be any of the things and like any of the things, but your shape is how you drape this fabric on your body. So that's that. Hope that makes sense. And please like, subscribe, share. I just started making my videos live, and I would love for people